No. Hello guys, welcome back. So today we have quite a good one. We just want to go through, well, at least I want to go through what's the sentiment we're looking at in terms of right now in crypto. We've just had a nice rebound. So obviously we want to make sure we can kind of capitalize on that and take some decent trades, but also we have to look at the wider picture as well, which is why I'm going to compare two things side by side. Also talk a little bit about Ethereum and the longs and shorts on that, but then also how are we looking in terms of this little pump we've seen? Are we still going to see more upside? That's the question everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
AJ, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. This nice little pump is good, but the question is this pump, something that we believe in? Is this pump, going to continue? And is it going to, is this bottom that we have seen? Is that the confirmed bottom?
Those are the questions we all want to know the answer to. So guys, make sure you stick around and also subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, hit the like button on the video if you want to see us back again tomorrow doing more of the same. So the first thing I want to get into, guys, is, looking through the crypto market, it does, well, I'm going to say just the crypto news, it does look pretty good. I will say, so crypto.com, good bit of fundamental news in terms of, spreading adoption. Also 3AC, which I'm going to get into that a little bit later. I've got a bit of news to tell you about that. But then overall, obviously everyone's talking about Ethereum. This is what's happening, So you see Amazon.eth, ENS. That's basically like a www dot, like a URL. The domain owner disregards 1 million USDC buyout from OpenSea. There's also another example of this further up here, where we see Sony was just sold. Sony.us. I've absolutely lost it now, but there was Sony that went, I believe, I can't find the actual number now, but we'll find that a little bit later. Overall, though, as I was saying, looking through Bitcoin price holds 23.5K, leading bulls to say it's different this time, which is obviously a little bit of a positive bit of news. Yeah. Bitcoin's longest extreme fear streak has finally broken, which again is another very good bit of information. And then we're seeing, more positive news. So parabolic bear trend is over. And the reason why I quite like looking at the overall sentiment is just to kind of see what people are thinking about in crypto at the moment, because most people in crypto are going to be going to the likes of Cointelegraph, Crypto Potato, going to the block, for example. And this is where they get the sentiment and place the trades based on what they've just seen,
Yeah.
Which is, I think, probably fair to say, AJ, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So this is what, and obviously every time we log on, we get a bit excited once we see this. But we also, I should say, I do have a look through Bloomberg, for example, having a look. Yes, we're up on a lot of different assets, especially these risk on assets, which I think is very, very good news. But looking through this, there's a little bit of a different scenario. So Bernstein strategists say stocks have yet to see capitulation, which basically means capitulation is definitely going to happen. American Century wary of a US equity, a bull trap, which means, again, more downside. Blackstone see Fed funds rate near 5% on longer hiking cycle. Again, higher rates. That means then costs more. And essentially then, lesser return. And it's kind of the same you can go through here. Obviously, everyone's talking about Ukraine war. But it's a little bit of a difference in between these two, which makes me kind of wonder, it seems as though the longer term sentiment is not great, but the shorter term in crypto is. And that is true. Look, AJ, we've got the fear and greed index at an absolutely unbelievable level.
Compared to what it was, last month, down at 9.
To have this today now at 31, it's double what it was last week, just at 15. And we can see this, also, I think we'll probably go through, maybe tomorrow we'll do it, where we were looking at, and this is, I know, something that you highlighted to everybody was, I don't know if it's within, like, looking at these specific clusters, I think it was you were saying, is that correct?
I've got it on my screen now. I was literally about to bring it up if you want me to go over that quickly.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Bring us through that.
Yeah, so looking at this fear and greed X here, this is over the whole, the whole time that this indicator has been alive. Now, what we are looking at is when the fear and greed index drops below 10. Now, it's dropped below 10 a few times, but what we want to see when it does drop below 10 is that we get, a nice cluster of that fear. And, that's exactly what we have seen here. And this is actually bullish news, looking back in history. So if we look back in April, April 2020, we dropped below 10 on the fear and greed index, and we got this cluster of fear. If we take a look at the charts, this one here, we can have a look. Let me just make sure I'm getting the right date. So around March, April 2020, if we go to March, April 2020, around this area, you can see that Bitcoin did establish a bottom when we got that cluster of fear, and we did drop below that 10 level on the fear and greed index. The exact same thing happened back in November, December 2018, when we dropped below 10 on the fear and greed index. We got a nice cluster of fear, and on the charts, you can see, if we go back to November, December 2018, you can see that we did establish that bottom. Now, this is telling us that right now we are at, we have established that bottom because we did dip below 10, and we have had this nice big cluster of fear. And that, sort of lines up with the pi cycle bottom indicator as well, So this is telling us that this right here has been the bottom. We have, dipped below the fear, dip below 10 on the fear and greed index before. We've done it a few times before, but as you can see right here, in around, August 2019, we only just, we had that sort of falling knife. It wasn't a cluster of fear. It was just a quick move down. And then it came straight back up. We had the same thing back in February 2018, and I think that was it. Yeah, it was. And those were sort of false bottoms. What we are looking for is those clusters. In history, it has told us, it has indicated to us that it has been the bottom, and we are getting that cluster of fear. Well, we have had that cluster of fear below 10.
You're now seeing that. It's strong move to the upside, isn't it?
Yeah, and we are getting that strong move to the upside. So, looking at loads of indicators, it has signaled to us that we are at that bottom. And just another one as well, quickly to show you that we have formed sort of this triple bottom as well, and that's sort of another bottoming indicator as well. But yeah, fear and greed index is just another indicator telling us that we have established that bottom.
There you go. And there's also, like looking at some of the data, and I want to just quickly show this, is looking at some of the data in terms of the long versus the short interest that we're seeing from coinglass.com, is that we are seeing now more and more. So obviously this was before we had a higher, basically if this line is below this difference in color, the 50-50 line, it means there's more short interest. So we're changing from this. This was 10 days ago. They see a little bit of interest. This is where we've been having this movement to the upside. This, what date? Can you have a quick look? What date was the all-time low here, AJ?
The all-time low was on the 18th of June.
Yeah, 18th of June. This doesn't actually go back that far, maybe. No.
You can change it on the top right.
Yes, it only went. Yeah, no, it only goes up to 24 hours. Okay. But I think so this is only for Bitcoin, I will say. But looking at this recently, obviously today, yesterday, day before, not so much. But then the prior 5 days, that was still more of a long interest than a short interest, which is really interesting. But one thing I do want to show you guys is actually looking through here, so we can have a look at the different exchanges. Again, it's mostly long interest. Let's have a look now at the short interest over the past 24 hours. It's kind of 50-50 for Ethereum here. Now, if I bring this, let's say, down to the 4 hour, let's see what happens. Again, we're back into that long interest, the more long interest than we're seeing in short interest. And some of the top gainers, obviously Lido. So Lido, we all know that's where you stake your Ethereum ahead of the 2.0 release, well, the merge, which is where everyone's going to be moving onto the Beacon chain. Dogecoin up, Engine Coin, and then obviously a few other coins. We see Bitcoin in here as well, which is just here. Very good to see. So overall, we are seeing a push up, well, a movement to the upside for almost every coin here, or well, not everyone, but almost all of them, and a fairly decent push to the upside. I'm just going to quickly finish up, guys, on a little bit of institutional news. So as we can see, we did have a comment up here from Mr. Panda. Did you hear about the BNP Paribas news? Is it fake news story from sources? I actually think this is a real news story, or if it is fake news, it's been spread really well. But just to give you some kind of context, initially, this is the story here. But firstly, just bringing crypto and institutionals together, NEAR has partnered with BitGo as it enters the world of institutional investments. So NEAR has actually done relatively well. NEAR protocol, this is what it is. You go through here, have a little look. So it has, so this is kind of based on the news, a bit of a push to the upside, as you see. Obviously, over the past 7 days, done really well, but they've partnered with BitGo essentially to offer more of their services to institutional investors. So they say that this is a commitment of widening its ecosystem. NEAR Foundation will also custody its own treasury with BitGo. And just to give you a bit of an idea, BitGo, they offer institutional asset custody, trading, and finance. Now, I'm not going to get into everything they do, but you can see on the screen here, they do custody, prime services, portfolio tools, and API. Another thing that's very interesting is this kind of tax here, this portfolio management. So having, I guess, more companies and more protocols like NEAR, for example, working with BitGo is obviously going to be good for NEAR as well. And this is where we move into the story. BNP Paribas entering the crypto custody space via a partnership with Swiss digital asset safekeeping firm Metaco. BNP Paribas is a securities services position as a major global custodian with almost $13 trillion in AUM, assets under management. So it's on MSN. It's also on a few other kind of news boards, I will say, this news. So I don't think it's fake. If it is, like I said, it's very well spread. But it could be, this could be very, very big if they're entering the crypto custody space, because one of the main issues that we've seen with the likes of Celsius, with the likes of Voyager, is that you use them to get a return, but also they are a custodian of your crypto. But then at the end, as we've just seen with the lawyers, they've said, actually, no, you gave away your right to hold your crypto. So you're not actually, we're not a custodian of your crypto because we're not holding it for you. It's our crypto. So this, I think, is potentially a really good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
And then just to finish up, 3AC, just before we get into some technicals, guys, obviously we want to look at Bitcoin. AJ, you're going to lead us through this, but 3AC are allegedly liable for $2.8 billion of creditor claims. Now, I don't know where they're going to get this money from, but the now defunct entity allegedly owes $2.8 billion in claims. So it's not great, but as told by Dr. Soldman Gax, that's quite a good name. This is, and I don't believe he actually does work for Goldman Sachs, but anyway, the meeting voted to elect a creditor committee comprised of Digital Currency Group, Voyager Digital, Blockchain Access, Matrix Port Technologies, and CoinList Lend. 5 parties above represent 80% of the current level of claims. So yeah, 2.8 million is absolutely pretty insane, especially when they don't have any money. But to get you up to speed, after making a series of large directional trades, GBTC, Luna, let's get rid of that, staked Ethereum, and then borrowing from 20 large institutions, they went bust and the founders ran. So that caused obviously a bit of contagion, as we all know. So I don't know how that's all going to pan out. I do think that we're going to see a bit more kind of fear around this like centralized DeFi space. But but there's the kind of overview in terms of what we're looking at for the news right now, for the fundamentals anyway. AJ, should we bring it back onto some technicals?
Yeah, we can take a quick look at technicals. So got a question here. So we are not going any lower, right? Question mark. For me, I can't give you
He has
just
right, it's just reconnecting. AJ, oh, you blocked out there for a second.
Did I? Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, yeah. So, are we going any lower? That's sort of the question that everyone wants to know. And I can't give you a 100% answer that we are not going lower, or if we are going lower. All we can do is sort of look at the indicators and sort of what's telling us that we are going in one direction more than the other direction. And for me right now, there are a lot more indicators indicating to me that we are not going lower. So for me, I'm more in the direction that we aren't going lower. We've got that pi cycle bottom indicator that has flipped bearish. Previously that has indicated we're not going any lower. I've showed you this so many times. Also, this fear and greed index, that's signaled a bottom as well. I showed you that a few minutes ago. And we formed this triple bottom here as well. That's another indicator that we are at the bottom. Another one as well is this simple moving average, this 4-year simple moving average. I've showed you this previously before as well. And I've just messed that up.
I told you these charts, they're not easy,
One click of a
I had
button.
an absolute mare yesterday.
Yeah, one click of a button and they all go wrong. But yeah, this 4-year simple moving average, we've got the 4-year SMA, this turquoise line along here. Every time we've come and tested this line, we have used it as support. We've bounced off it nicely. And when we do, when these dots do go as blue as they can, it does signal a bottom. And as they start, getting lighter and changing towards green and then yellow and then red, that sort of signals for the top. As of right now, we are as blue as we can get. And we are actually, we have, dipped below this 400, this 4-year SMA. As of right now, we are, if I just zoom in slightly, messing it up again. As you can see, we are breaking back above that 4-year SMA again. Now, this is actually bullish. This has signaled previously in the past that when we have broken above this level, it has been the start of the bull market again, or at least the accumulation phase, which is the consolidation phase. Now, this 4-year SMA has been strong resistance, and you can see we've come up and tested this for this 4-year SMA twice, and we have seen a rejection from this level. We have now finally broken above that level, and now this gives us the opportunity to get these dots to start changing color, towards that lighter blue and then that green. And once we sort of get to that green level, for me, that will be the confirmation that we are another confirmation that we are in that bull market again, because every time we have gone to the dots have changed to green, it has signaled and confirms that the bull market is in play. So this is something I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on. But as of right now, it's very, very bullish. We are breaking back above that 4-year SMA, and looking back at history, when we've broken below it and we've broken back above it, it has signaled the start of the bull market again. This has happened back in 2015. That happened twice in 2015, and it happened in March 2020, as we know, the COVID crash. It didn't happen in December. We used it as support, but this chart does show that when we do break below it and we break back above it, it is the confirmation that we are starting that bull market again. So as I said, this is something I'm going to be looking at closely.
Can I just quickly add something in here? So while you're on this, and there's a question from Gaurav. No, back onto the trading view. So having a look at the pi cycle bottom. Is there any indicator as to when they will cross back over and become bullish again?
No, we don't know how long this consolidation accumulation phase is going to be. If I sort of look at history, you can see that back in 2018 and 2019, it was a lot. The consolidation period was a lot shorter than it was back in 2015. So we're not going to be too sure when it does cross again. I do think it is going to take up to 12 months for this consolidation phase to be in play, and then potentially we get that cross. But I can't be accurate. I can't sort of give a date of when they could potentially cross again. I came pretty close with when they crossed bearish. We had that little bet on, and I said I think it was like the 15th of July. They crossed on the 13th or the 14th, I think. So I came very close with that, but it's a bit too far ahead in the future for me to sort of predict that. But I would say this consolidation period is going to last for at least sort of between 6 and 12 months, I think.
I agree,
maybe even 18
and
months.
also, and I think I'm going to say because of that, and because we don't know how, we don't know when we're going to flip in, being properly bullish again. That's why with Kelvin Low, your comment here, we can't ignore the macro and go long. It's not. I know we want to just, hey, let's all go long and have a great time, because once we go long and it goes up, we're all rich. But we can't do that yet. There's more downside from where we currently are. I don't think that if we're what we're at now, 23. What's the current price, AJ?
23,666.
Yeah. So. Hello, devil. I don't think that this is I don't think that we're never going to see 23,666 again. I think we will probably see it. We might even come back down, either test the top of this little line you can see on the screen here. That's like 20. Was that 22,700 or something?
22,000 approximately.
Yeah, 22. So, we might come back and we might test that. That could be like a level of support. But, even if we have hit the all-time low, I still think that we're going to come back down, maybe even test 20K. So, I'm going to say, guys, be very careful, because you are right. I don't know can we ignore the macro and go long? I don't know if that's a sarcastic comment, but the bottom line is the macro situation does not look good. Currently the technicals look really good. The indicators all give us a nice indication. That makes us very bullish. But at the end of the day, we are still relatively bearish in the sense that, we haven't had enough confirmation. Plus, everyone's still losing their head about inflation and normal stock markets and, everything like this. So that is something we do need to be aware of.
Exactly. Yeah. These indicators in the past, they have been 100% correct, but it doesn't mean they are going to be 100% correct in the future. Something catastrophic could happen. The whole global, something happens to the whole global economy.
Economy.
Or
even it could be that the best way to go about this, it could just be, just open a trade. Make sure you have a stop loss. You can be a long-term investor if you're in a trade. Obviously it'd be like, if you're paying fees for holding it open or whatever, that's not great. But having a stop loss is very powerful if you can, secure yourself. So I would say, if you're looking to just buy it and hope that it's going to go up, you're probably not going to do too well.
I think what we should do, we've still got some money in our accounts to maybe open up a long position. So I think we should when we start seeing we're seeing some exhaustion now. When we get a slight pullback, I think we should be a good idea to sort of dollar cost average into a long position, because for me, there are a lot of indications on the technical side that we have established that bottom. So I think, going in very lightly with very small leverage is something that we could do. So what I'm looking at right now on the technical side of things is sort of a lot of exhaustion coming in. I do think we are in for a little pullback, And, potentially, like Ben said, back to this previous resistance, which is going to act as support. And the exhaustion that I am seeing is that, indicators like the RSI, the stochastic RSI, CCI as well, they are indicating to me that they are very overextended. They are at the top. Typically, when we see these indicators at the top, we do see that correction. I showed you this example yesterday. The RSI, the stochastic RSI was at the top, and we did get that correction when the indicators started to reset. Now we are getting into that overextended area. Now there is a little bit, more. There is a little bit more that we could go up. The RSI is saying there is some more room for more upside, and that is true. But we also have to take into account that we are forming a bearish divergence, so we are getting momentum towards the upside on the RSI, and we are, seeing lower lows. We haven't formed this low yet, but we are forming. We are getting a low on this on the Bitcoin price action. So we do have to be aware of that. That is, another signal that we are getting exhaustion. So we do have to be aware of that. Now there is, more room towards the upside. Just remember that. But initially, I do think, we are going to come in for a slight correction. So we could come up, maybe test this $28,500 level, which I did explain to you in yesterday's video why I think this is a possible price targets, and then we could see a correction from there, or we could come up very slightly, see a correction there, but initially I would like to see us holding this support level here, and bouncing off that level, which would hopefully bring us up to $28,500. As I said, I explained this in yesterday's video. So if you did miss that, make sure you go back and watch that. But as Ben said as well, I think, seeing 20,000, even if this $17,500 was the bottom, I think seeing 20,000 again is something very, very realistic. We are going to be in a long period. Personally, I think we are going to be in a long period of consolidation, which is, going to be the accumulation phase. And, we are going to range between, two levels, and that could be between this $28,500 level and maybe the $20,000 level, because the $28,500 level is a very, very important resistance level. It has been major support before we broke below it. So it is going to act as major resistance as well. So that is a level that I'm looking at, being strong resistance and sort of ranging between there and, potentially 20,000. But as of right now, I'm a little bit unsure of where the support is going to be. But I think, we will find out pretty quickly where that is going to be, because I am expecting a sort of maybe some more price action towards the upside, but definitely we are going to see that slight pullback, and that's sort of where we can sort of get into a long position potentially. It depends what the technicals are looking like when we get to that stage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to have to wait for that confirmation before we can kind of jump into any crazy longs.
Yeah.
Because I think we will be able to, but just not yet, is in my opinion. I'm waiting for a pullback, like a strong pullback. But also bear in mind, guys, I think next week we have some big news in terms of the Fed rate hike as well. So we can't just completely ignore that. So we can expect volatility just based on that thing alone. So keep that in mind. And also, like I said yesterday, with a few different earnings. So the earnings of I believe Netflix is out today after the close, and then also we have Tesla, or was it Netflix yesterday? And I think Tesla today, Snapchat on Thursday. So those things are going to bring volatility towards the NASDAQ as well.
Yeah, definitely. If we take a quick look at the NASDAQ, actually, we are seeing the NASDAQ actually have a nice move towards the upside. This is why we're seeing crypto have a nice move to the upside. There is, strong resistance coming in at this level here. So that's what we do have to be cautious about. If we come up here, it's pretty likely we could see a rejection. But if we do get above it, and use it as support, that's extremely bullish for the crypto market as well. And you can see lots of support previously when we were above it, and when we were below it, lots of resistance as well. So that's sort of what's going on with the NASDAQ. Ethereum, we'll take a quick look at Ethereum. Nothing's really happened since my update yesterday. I did tell you that Ethereum, I'm expecting a slight pullback for Ethereum. The indicators are becoming very overextended, overbought. So I think, a correction is in play for Ethereum, potentially from this major resistance level up here. It has been pretty major support in the past. Looking back here, pretty major support when we're above it. When we were below it, it did act as some resistance as well. So yeah, this is what I think. This is going to be a very, very important level, like that $28,500 level on Bitcoin. This is going to be, the equivalent to that level on Bitcoin for Ethereum. So yeah, that's sat at around $1,700. But yeah, as I said, indicators are indicating to me that we are very overextended. So I do think that we could be in for a little bit more upside, but initially we are going to have that slight pullback.
There you go. So yeah, basically, guys, we're gonna have a pullback. That's kind of that's the overall. It has been it's obviously good to have like a to have these little pumps. And like I said, in terms of like a long-term investor, if you're a long-term investor, then you don't mind if it goes to 25. You don't mind if it goes to 20 because you're looking at either getting, I don't know, either out at like 60 or above. So these little things don't really matter too much. If it is you're a trader, then obviously you can use a nice little stop loss. Just to answer Kelvin Lowe's question, so does this mean even if rate hike goes higher, the market still might ignore it and go even higher? So if the rate hike, I think if the rate hike goes higher, i.e. we have 100 basis point hike, and I, guys, as always, I'm going to cover this as it's happening live. If we have a 100 basis point hike, then I think, yes, the market will go higher. I think it will go lower initially or kind of stagnate because everyone's like, that's bad for the market. But it's also very, very bullish because people are then saying, okay, well, actually, the Fed know what they're doing. I now believe that whatever is, that they're going to have inflation under control. Inflation begins to come down. And obviously, people want to get into these assets before inflation starts to come down. Because once inflation starts to trickle down and we see it like each month, a lower and lower print, everyone's going to be wanting to get into the market. So, obviously us as we want to be intelligent investors. We want to get in early. And that's exactly what, all of the guys on Wall Street want to do. So whenever we start seeing higher levels of interest rate hikes and then we see inflation come down, that's going to be the perfect time to be a long-term investor and also a trader, I guess. But, to be in these assets for a slightly, a longer term period, not just only wanting to get out when, your stop loss has been hit, for example. That's my overall thought. But like I said, next week, I'll be doing exactly the same as always, and I'll be going live to go through it with you. Let me just quickly double check if it is next week or not, though. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up while I check this out here, AJ?
I think that's about everything. Take a quick look at the dominance. The dominance, we are seeing the dominance continue to come down. That's pretty expected. As we see this slight relief rally, the target for me is going to be around 40%. After we got rejected here, it was pretty certain for me that we are going to come down to this 40% level here. If we do continue to see price action towards the upside, then I think 40% is a pretty realistic target. Every time that we have being rejected from this level, we have come back down and tested this support level. So that's what I'll be looking at.
Yep. There you go. And just to clarify, guys, it's in 1 week and 7 hours and 12 minutes. So it will be 10 p.m. for me in the United Arab Emirates, which will probably, that said 7 p.m. in the UK. And then it's maybe I'm going to say 1 o'clock in the afternoon or maybe 10, 12 in the US. Not sure, but that'll be in exactly 1 week time. So that'll be a Thursday. If it is a Thursday, that will be a Wednesday. That'll be on a Wednesday. Currently looking like the most probable is a 75 basis point hike but it's changed from being like a almost 90% guarantee of a 75 basis points to now only a 63. So that is coming down. So whether we see it flip, I don't know. But yeah, I'll keep you up to date on that as we go throughout this week.
Yeah.
There we go.
See how the price is affected by it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, guys. Well, look, thank you for joining. I will be going live later on today just to go through what I view to be in terms of long-term investing, what I think are going to be good coins that we should be in, and what I would be doing. So I'm going to be going live later on at the normal time, which will be 4:30. Oh no, 4 or 4:30, something like that in my time. So if you want to jump in like an hour and a half, then I look forward to seeing you then as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you smash that like button. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn that bell notification on.
Exactly. And don't forget to join us on Twitter, where we'll keep you up to date on a more regular basis. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you
very much, guys. Take care.